That's a pretty insightful thing 40 years ago to say, and as we know now, it was true. So I always remembered that. John Becker, Coach Becker, he was my baseball coach, but he was also the history teacher back then. He's around someplace, isn't he?
Right.
I see his name every once in a while. He's a great guy. He was great. But he could be a really idiot sometimes, but he was a great guy. On the baseball field, the football field, he was outrageous sometimes. But one of the things, because we were in our senior year, it was during the Vietnam War, we had a discussion about, should we be in Vietnam or should we not be in Vietnam? And Crespi was a fairly conservative place. So there was a lot of patriotism. Of course, you're going to support this war that everyone thought was good. But there was a group of us who said it was bad. And there was one gentleman named Jim Fritsch, who unfortunately had passed away with a heart attack a while back. But he gave a speech about why we should not be in Vietnam. And it caused kind of a ruckus. And the bell was just ringing, and he finished his statement, and he said, "I would rather be red than dead." The room exploded. Back in 1969, it was a major statement for kind of a conservative Catholic area for someone to say that. But it made a great effect on me and for the rest of my life, that someone I respected and took such a hard stand about the Vietnam War in 1969. One other person this is a story that affected the rest of my life. There was a priest named Father Mel who taught us, I think it was mathematics at the time. He was very tough, and you could never do what he does now. He would punch us if we did something wrong. And he did it on a consistent basis. He wasn't the nicest guy in the world. And if you would get a problem wrong, he would punch you. And it got to be rather obnoxious. And if we told our parents, no one would do anything about it, and the school didn't do anything about it. And one day, when we were seniors, there was a student named Michael who did something wrong with a math problem, and he was going to get punched. It was obvious. And he stood up, and he looked at Father Mel and said, "If you hit me, I'm going to hit you back." Now you have to understand, in 1969, you did not threaten to hit a priest. And he was a chicken. He backed off. And he went to Father Albert and he got Michael kicked out of the school. You know something? Michael was right, he was wrong. It changed my viewpoint of authority that minute in that class, forever. That authority is something that we have to question. And that we have to be honest about, that it is not always right. That priest is no longer a priest, but he was brutal to us sometimes, and it was not, and no one stuck up for the students. And I always remember that in the rest of my career, that I always tried to do the right thing, which is not always the easy thing to do. So that kind of negative lesson really stuck well with me, and also I think affected the whole school. And later I talked to Father Albert about it several times, and he asked the student to come back, and the student wouldn't come back because he said, "Nope, I'm not going to come back. I made my stand. I'm leaving. You kicked me out." But that actually affected a lot of things that I did for the rest of my life. That one little incident. So that's kind of interesting. But I'm just going to take this back to film, and then I'm going to end. So, some people say, where did High School Musical come from? Now I've told you. But, I loved going to see movies in high school. And when you were when you're a football player or a basketball player, they say, where'd you go to high school? Because they want to know who you trained with. And where'd you go to college? Because they want to know who you trained with. They still do. You look at basketball today. I was watching, they say, oh, he's out of South Carolina. He hasn't been out of South Carolina 8 years or 10 years. He's a pro. But high school actually is a place that is so fertile to grow ideas and concepts. So when I was in high school, I remember really clearly seeing the following movies. In 1965, the best movie of the year was Sound of Music. So I saw it at the Encino Theater, which I don't think is there anymore. It was at the Lorraine or something on Ventura Boulevard. And I saw it 2 or 3 times, but it was the best movie of the year. And obviously, I liked it. In fact, we've shown that movie, my wife and I were sitting there, we've shown that movie to our kids probably 50 times at least. They can sing it, and they're boys. So it won the Best Picture in 1966. In 1967, what won the Best Picture was A Man for All Seasons. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf was the other nominated movie. The Russians Are Coming was the other nominated movie. The Sand Pebbles and Alfie. And the other movie was Blow Up. Interesting movies, and all of them movies that still affect me and that I love. 1968 Academy Awards, In the Heat of the Night won, which is a classic. The other movies that were up that year were Bonnie and Clyde, Dr. Dolittle, The Graduate, and Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. 5 brilliant movies, and I saw them all when I was like a junior in high school, because I loved those movies. And the last year, 1969, Oliver, Romeo and Juliet and Funny Girl, Lion in the Winter. But you can see, and they shoot horses, don't they? 2001, A Space Odyssey, and Rosemary's Baby. Those are the Academy Award nominated movies. So you can see the influence when you're, those are amazing. It's an amazing body of work to see when you're 15, 16, 17 years old. And it is, I've applied that storytelling and those kind of passion to my work. I think I was trying to count the movies. I think about 34 of them that I've made. And I hope someday I end up on someone's list like this. So thank you very much.
This is the award that we have for you. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it.
You're absolutely fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Another time. Bill, let me grab a picture with you too. Yeah. Is this okay in front of the podium? Another one.